I'll quickly let you know how the talk's going to play out. Basically, I'm going to start off talking about the book itself, Ariadne, and what I've done, sort of a bit of behind the scenes look at that. Afterwards, we're going to talk a bit about history itself and the process of writing historical fiction. And then towards the end, some of you are probably fairly literate people, I'm going to throw my hat to the ring of what I think makes good literature and the process of writing itself. And afterwards, we're going to have time for questions, so if it's open for them, that'd be great. So let's start with Ariadne. Why do I call it Ariadne? That's probably a good first question, yeah? So for any of you who've studied Greek history, for any of you who've studied Greek history or you've read some of the myths, you've probably heard the story of, brave Theseus who goes to Crete and confronts the Minotaur there, and he goes into that labyrinth, that maze, and kills the Minotaur, but the way he escapes is that there's this princess, the daughter of the evil king tyrant, Minos, and she falls in love with him, and she gives him this yarn of string, and that helps him get back out and find his way. Now, my book has nothing to do with the myth at all, and there's a very good reason for that. Well, there's two. Basically, we've been studying the ancient Greek world for a long time now. We've been about 200 years, and so as far as we can tell from the archaeology, constructing the history and sort of the culture of these people back in the Bronze Age, it's actually quite different to the myth. And as far as I was concerned, it was a real shame that most stories that started that wrote in this time period, they always used the myth as a focus point, and they always felt they had to include it, even if they were trying to be historical. And to me, that was a real shame, because there is this huge disconnect between what the myth tells us about the past and what we can get from the archaeology. And I thought, if you free yourself from the myth, you've got a really good chance of actually giving the time period as it was. But there's another reason, which is also that for those of you who've heard the myth, then to have a book all about the same story, it's not telling you something new. It's not, maybe I'll rehash it in a slightly interesting way, but it's not a fresh story. Whereas if I follow the archaeology and I give you this authentic experience of the time period, it frees me up, potentially at least, to write something fresh and engaging and new. And so that's what I've tried to do. I've tried to be inspired by the archaeology to write something that's fairly historically accurate, more accurate than just following the myth, but also to be more entertaining as well. So it comes back to, why call it Ariadne? Well, apart from the fact that it's a nice Greek name for a nice Greek girl, it's also, I'm trying to play a bit of a literary game with anyone who has come across these myths. And so I want to bring to your conscious mind what your expectations are of the Greek world before dashing them and saying, well, it's actually something very different. I want you to kind of have that historical thought. That's, of course, if you're well versed in the myths. If you're not, I'm hoping to still engage with you just as an entertaining story. And that's one of the challenges I set myself, was to write a book which was thoroughly engrossing to people who understood the history and could engage in intellectual levels with historians even, potentially, but also to just be entertaining for anyone who doesn't care about history at all. It's just a fun story. I suppose you'll be the judge of whether or not I succeeded. So yeah, that's Ariadne itself. But what's it about? So for those of you who haven't read the book, in a nutshell, it's about this young girl's coming of age, and she starts off in a home on the island of Crete, Crete, and there's this catastrophe that forces her to flee. So she flees her land to the land of Egypt during this turbulent time, and there's a lot of battles and famines and plagues and wars and all this kind of exciting stuff that we generally expect in this book. And from there, she ends up having to flee again, so she flees to the land of Canaan and exploring the cultures and the history of that land as well. And so it's trying to explore three key moments of the Bronze Age through the eyes of a single protagonist. And I'll get to these later, but it's also this point in time where you're exploring the Bronze Age itself, but it's also a bit of a military epic, a romantic tragedy. So I'm trying to blend two forms of historical fiction together. So to me, I think there are two key subgenres of historical fiction, dare I say it, perhaps along gendered lines, that are a bit more social, cultural, romance-oriented, trying to explore cultures themselves, and a bit more along that political, military, wars and battles and that side of history. And I find those subgenres really interesting and really engaging, so I've tried to write a bit of a blend that crosses that divide. And again, see whether or not I've succeeded. So there's a lot of questions I've gotten trying to sell this book, and the first one is, well, you're a young guy, yeah? Well, at least you look like a young guy. So why would you try and write your first book from a woman's perspective? And maybe some of you have thought that as well. And to me, the key reason was, now I'm not going to give any spoilers in the book itself, I'll try not to, but it was about the ending. And so the ending was the first part of the book that came to me. And to me, it was the woman's perspective in that ending that was the most interesting, the most powerful. And because I wanted to write to that ending, I felt that in one sense I had to write from a woman's perspective. I didn't have a choice. I needed to start earlier and lead up towards it. And so having that need in mind, I just gave it a shot. And this is, I suppose, the end result. So thought a lot about it, but that's the case. And so I did try, I suppose I wrote a fair few male characters in because I found it a lot easier, but that's why I wrote my protagonist, Ariadne, as a woman. So there's a lot of other themes and I suppose aspects of the book that maybe you're interested in, especially those who've read it. Happy to discuss them a bit more at the end when you're asking questions. There's one last thing I will say for the moment, in that a lot of people think that your first novel is quite often it's your sort of thinly veiled story, just as an allegory or something in some other time period. The stereotypical debut author. And I may write a novel like that at some point, but this book is really not like that for me. There's not much of my life in there. It really is trying to engage with the history and these periods in time. But there's one key thing that does reflect my life as well, and is, I suppose, the main reason why I really did want to write this book now, and it's that coming of age aspect. So, from my end, when I started writing this book, it was before I was 20, and I still remember what it was like to be a child. And as you all know, anyone before they're 20 probably is a bit more of a child these days. But but I really valued that, and I wanted to engage with that before I lost it. And so it was part sort of a race against the clock to still capture that childlike way of viewing the world before I'd lost it to the adult world. And so in part, it's capturing that to begin with, but also Ariadne's journey, her coming of age, it does in part reflect mine in the sense that you're engaging with the real world, the adult world, as Hobbes so famously put it, nasty, brutish and short. So trying to give you that feel, but also towards the end of the book exploring what it's like just to have suffered so much, but to still have this childlike quality to you at times, and when you get the opportunity to let that out. And I think it is really valuable, no matter how old we are, to still hold on to our inner child and to value it for what it is.